Hey, hi, welcome. Been a while, and I'll talk about why it's been a while in just a sec, but I want to welcome each and every one of you that is going to tune in and provide me some questions, but I also want to, in advance, thank the people that have either put them in the comments, sent them to me via email or other means of social media, or just asked them in passing. I do appreciate it a whole pile. Oh, look, I've moved. I don't know how that happened. Oh, there we go. Now I'm back to being me again. Anyway, yeah, let's turn the music down and start into it. So a couple of things. Reason why it's been a while, and I do apologize. I apologize for some quick and hasty videos. I thought they were pretty good, but just the same, I've been involved with a lot of different volunteer work, my job, my work, my personal life, and moved the office yet again. So all of that takes a bit of time. However, through all of that, folks have brought me some questions. So I'd like to talk about those questions today, but also to well, I'm going to get to, I got a bit of an announcement, so just hang around and I'll announce what I'm working on as the next thing. But right now, let's just get right into it. And I'm going to begin with the first question. Now, I think this was sent to me by Seifeldien under a different name, because it was brought to me by Morale Inside Morale, and that's Seifeldien's last name. So I don't know, maybe it was him, maybe it's not, I don't know. Either way, thank you for the question, because he asked, what are safety procedures and why are they so important? And you know what? Fair question. And depending on how you're looking at it, whether it's safety procedures associated with a piece of equipment or a process or safe work procedures, either way, what they are for is to elicit desired behavior. It goes back to behavioral-based safety. Now, there's a few myths with behavioral-based safety that, and when applied incorrectly, those myths come to light. Myths. Anyway, one of them is, of course, every accident is the fault of the worker. And that's not the case. No, it's not the case. Not every accident is the fault of the worker. In fact, without indicating desired behavior, might be the employer that's at fault. Now, the other thing is everybody thinks it's a magic bullet. Not necessarily. Not unless you load that bullet, arm it correctly, and then it does tend to do its job. And we'll talk about more about that in a sec. And finally, the last one is it's touchy-feely psychology. And no, that's not at all, not the case. So getting back to safety procedures, no matter what moniker or term you give them, the whole idea is you want desired behavior. You want people to work safely. And so what you need to do is spell out that process. And I've done a video, and you can do a search for it in my channel. But the idea is what you call them. And safe work practices are basically those things that you do when you're conducting safe work. Like, for instance, delineating work areas, inspecting tools, machinery, or anything before you use them and after you use them, pre- and post-use inspections, etc. Those are safe work practices, but should be included in safe work procedures or safety procedures, which are a step-by-step process in how you commit a task or commit a set of tasks safely, or you perform those tasks safely. So that's what they are, and that's why they're important, because if you're not including them, then you're not going to get the desired behaviors you want, because you have to hold workers to a standard. And if you're not outlining that standard correctly, then how are you going to hold those workers accountable? Okay, it all fits into a process. So I hope that's the answer, Morale Inside, that you were looking for. It's the best I've got. But realistically, that's why they are important. They are the essential part of behavior-based safety. Now, a couple of other questions I've got is, one of them, and an interesting question, is there any order to completing corrective actions after an investigation? And yes, there is. Obviously, you want to do correct those things where there's a higher hazard consequence and a higher risk of those hazards manifesting. You want to deal with that first. So prioritize. You have to prioritize your corrective actions. So when you have, and often what you can do is your root cause has to be addressed first, but then all of the causal factors, the direct and indirect causes that led to that, have to be addressed. So what you need to do is put everything in an order of priority. And the best way to do that is either use your hazard assessment process or your risk matrix and prioritize your corrective actions accordingly. Say, for instance, that a worker had fallen off a mezzanine while they were doing repairs in the guardrail. And you found that there was an incorrect ladder setup, and there was no delineation of the workspace and a few other things. So obviously, if you had the safe work procedures in place and you had the safety program addressed all of that, then it's non-compliance. So obviously, you're going to address the non-compliance as the root cause first. But then you're going to have to address those other things, the incorrect setup of the ladder or whatever the case may be. So you have to prioritize. Now, depending on the incident investigation you do, and depending what it comes out of it, the complexity you may have to have an implementation plan. Say, for instance, your corrective action is reviewing and revising a safety procedure or a safe work procedure. And you found the root cause was an inadequate program standard and adequate safety procedures. So you're going to review and revise them. But beyond that, you're going to have to make sure that all the workers are aware of it, possibly any remedial training, possibly addressing any equipment issues, etc., to match what you've just done. So you may need to create an implementation plan as part of your corrective actions. So you should have your prioritized corrective actions along with the implementation plan and dates according to it. I know it's a long explanation, but that's the best practice way to address it. Honestly, it is the best practice way to address it. And once again, leave comments. I appreciate all of them. If you've got a thought or a comment as to a response to what I've just said, or if you want to answer another question, or you just have thoughts on the videos, by all means, I appreciate the comments because that's how I get the material to keep going with this channel. Now, another one is, how do I actually get people to report incidents, or get people to actually report incidents, whichever way you want to look at it? And it's a really good question. Part and parcel, it leads to your safety culture. But the first rule of thumb is, look at the process. If it is too difficult, and one of the things I see that organizations do is they have a form for major incidents, a form for minor incidents, a form for near misses or close calls, whichever you want to call them, and a form for work refusals, and a form for just property damage. And so they have all of these forms. And then within these forms, it says, fill out this field if, but don't fill out this field. And like, it's so difficult, it gives people like me, safety professionals, a headache. So if you can imagine us as safety professionals having difficulty with those forms, now think about those folks that are just wanting to do their job. They've had the incident, they want to report it, but you've made it so difficult. I mean, think about it. The other thing is handwritten forms. Yes, they're a lot easier to do, especially for those that are technologically challenged, but so many people, and I've lost my phone somewhere again. When there's people that are technologically challenged, yes, that works well for them. But realistically, if you're to make your forms easier to fill out, make them easier to access, then you know what? People are more apt to actually do that. They're more apt to fill out the forms. They're more apt to report the incidents. And so one of the things I say is just have one form. Keep it simple. Leave it so that you have room or an opening to ask questions and do your investigation. So get them to report the incident. Get them to just tick. Was it an actual incident? Was it a near miss or a close call? Was it work refusal? Was it just property damage? Like, just make it simple. And then you, as the safety professional or the and the incident investigator have that room to go and get ask the qualifying questions, find out more, and do the incident investigation. But realistically, that report is your springboard. And then what you find, if you make it easier, things go up. I worked with an organization once, and this was the order. This was people would go to the website, download the form, which is 6 pages, and then they would fill out a part here and a part there and a part here and a part there, write it out, right? Then they would go and they would PDF it and then attach it to an email and send it to one of my team. And then my team would get it and they would print it out, take it to their phone, start reading it, and then make a phone call and say, okay, the 5th word says this. So when there was a move to create electronic forms that were typable with pull-down menus, and it was just 1 page that they had to fill out, and then click submit, and it would automatically attach to an email and sent, incident reporting went up 400%. So make it simple, keep it simple, make it easy to do, make it practicable. And then people actually, well, they'll report their incidents. Okay. Now, another question I got, this one was pretty cool, from Ocean Manlona. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Where did you get your custom hat? And it's the one you see in the photos. And realistically, I don't use it. It's just for this. I have another hard hat somewhere around here that I use. But I got it from Amazon. It's an MSA hard hat. And they have ones there for, I bought a Canadian one, of course, because I'm proudly Canadian. Not proud of the politicians in Ottawa, but I'm proudly Canadian. So I bought a Canadian one, but they have American ones. They have cool ones with an eagle. They have other Canadian ones as well. And I'm pretty sure they might even have ones for other countries. I'm not sure. But they have all sorts of different ones. And if you want to personalize your hard hat, by all means, I would suggest you go to Amazon. I don't have affiliate links or anything else like that. So, but realistically, when you're buying your PPE, buy stuff that you want to wear, because then you're more apt to wear it. And the same thing when you're thinking about a PPE program for your job site. A few things to note with PPE is, number one, it's the lowest on the hierarchy of controls, because it requires worker input and it wears out. So if you're going to be looking at your PPE program and wondering what to improve, look at replacement and rotation of PPE and how it's done, whether if it's a worker requirement, whether the company does it, whatever, or you split. I've seen organizations where they will buy a certain amount of PPE, but the workers required to buy this. And often it's boots and gloves that the workers are required to buy. But I've seen other organizations have buckets of gloves that they give out. Same thing with high-vis vests. They tend to wear out and get sun faded and everything else like that and snagged. So you want to make sure that they're in good repair. So buy PPE that you want to wear and make recommendations to the employer about PPE that the workers would want to wear. It doesn't have to be costly. It doesn't have to cost a lot, but make sure it's fittable and workable and it doesn't get in the way. And it's not uncomfortable. That's the other thing. Because often why people aren't wearing protective lenses is they're so scratched up you can't see out of them. Now, another question I got was, how often do we need to perform worksite inspections? Well, first off, number one, pay attention to your legislation. Depending, some legislation may be very prescriptive, saying that all work sites must be inspected every 30 days. Other legislation will say it's based on the level of hazards, etc. So make sure that you're paying attention to what your legislation says. Now, the next thing that I would suggest is, once again, combine your hazard assessments or your risk matrix to it and understand the risks and possibility of hazards manifesting in your job site, and then consider working your inspections around that. I've seen organizations that will employ what is often considered a best practice of taking and inspecting the more hazardous areas of their job site or work site more often, whereas the lower hazardous areas, say, for instance, office areas, admin areas, meeting rooms, etc., maybe quarterly versus monthly, and then combining that also too with the pre and post-use inspections of your equipment and machinery. So there's really no magic number for how often worksite inspections are done. Once again, what's the purpose behind it? Worksite inspections are overall part of your hazard identification assessment control program. And so they're that proactive piece where you're looking to inspect your worksite and take note of a couple of things. Number one, the environment that the workers are working in. And if you're to do it this way and look at the things that are most difficult to control to the most easiest to control. So you want to look at the people and the work that they're performing and how they're performing it. So P. Then the next one is the first E, and that is the environment. People are very more difficult to control. A lot of people think they're easy, but it's not. You have to outline that behavior that you desire from them. Plus the environment. You cannot control the weather, but you can control how people work in the weather. Okay, so people, E, environment. The next E is the equipment and machinery. And so you want to look at the people and what they're doing, have a look at what the environment is, worksite environment is like, then the equipment and machinery, is it being used correctly? Is there a proper maintenance program or the controls in place that are necessary? And then finally, the materials that the workers are using. Are they caustic, harmful, benign, like wood, etc.? So people, environment, equipment, machinery, those should be the ingredients to your inspection. And what are the hazards associated around each? Okay, and that's really how often you should be doing worksite inspections. Once again, like I said, if you have comments, by all means, I want to hear them. And and if you feel that you have opinions, thoughts, or you feel I'm wrong, I don't mind. Let me know in the comments. Point it out to me. I appreciate it. Same thing, if you like the video, do me a favor, give me a like. I appreciate those as well. If you haven't done so yet already and you want to include yourself in the chat or leave comments or whatever, by all means, subscribe. I appreciate all of those clicks. But this gets me to the next piece and kind of an announcement as well as what a different tactic I want to take. I've talked a lot about different ingredients to this, different pieces. I've talked about health and safety committees. I've talked about health and safety programs, hazard assessments, etc. But really and truthfully, I got asked a question, and I've been asked the question a few times. So I want to address it. I want to address it actually in a new series of videos. What is the difference between a health and safety program and a health and safety management system? Well, WorkSafe PC has put it this way, and I'll just give you their definition. And if you want, let me know in the comments, and I will copy it in there or give you the link. But an occupational health and safety management system encompasses more than just your health and safety program. It includes health and safety policies, systems, standards, records, and involves incorporating your health and safety activities and program into your other business processes. Having an effective management system improves your ability to continuously identify hazards and control risks in your workplace. So, really and truthfully, if you, as I've said before, if you want to sound absolutely brilliant to your peers, and they ask you, what is health and safety? Health and safety is this. It is the identification of hazards, assessing those hazards for the probability of them manifesting, the risk that you're going to encounter with them, and then applying controls so that you can either eliminate the hazards or control them enough that work can continue safely. That's health and safety. Realistically, that's it in a nutshell. However, a health and safety program is the tasks, duties, the activities that are allowing you to do that first piece, that identification, assessment, and control of hazards. So that's a health and safety program. But that's it in a nutshell. That's it. But it can't stop there, because realistically, an organization has to be organic. It has to spread throughout the organization and encompass the other systems within the organization to bring it all under one management system. Believe it or not, although everybody will think they're most important, IT will think that they have to govern over everything because they have their hand on the switch. Like that old saying, I am root, not I am Groot. I'm Root. HR, well, they have that, they indicate and dictate how the people work. I've met some that think that way. Operations, well, they're responsible for the heat, the lights, the everything, administration, the executive, all of those different systems really and truthfully have to be influenced by health and safety so that they carry out their functions and maintain safety throughout the organization. So, as I said, it's organic. So another way to think about this, if there's a problem within the safety culture of the workplace, it is a disruption in your system, your safety management system. If you're to think of the safety management system like a body, we have a body. We have a central nervous system. We have a nervous system, which is composed of a parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system. We have a musculoskeletal system. We have a digestive system. We have a cardiovascular system, a respiratory system, musculoskeletal system. So we move all of that, and then smaller systems, endocrine systems, etc., within our bodies. Your health and safety management system is just like a body made up of a bunch of different systems. So I want to explore this in a future set of videos and talking about all of the different systems, how they interact, and what you as the safety professional can do when you spot part of a system that's failing and you can treat it. You can try and work on that treatment. So, like anything else, I'm hoping to drop the first video next week. And I want to talk about leadership commitment and how the executive with a top-down attitude influences the behavior in an organization. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do short sets of videos, and then I'm going to do talks on the each video on a live stream, or each 2 videos on a live stream afterwards, so that we can have more interaction and chat. Now, the next thing I'm working on after that, secret stuff, is I want to talk more about running an interactive incident investigation course via live stream. But that's a ways out. But those are the 2 announcements. Those are the 2 projects that I'm working on. Keeping in mind, folks, that this is really essentially a hobby. I honestly don't get any money for it, but it enables me to better and further my skills, do my professional development more so because I'm researching continuously. It enables me to improve on my presentation skills, etc. So that's why I do it. Plus, I like to build a community, and I like to hear back from you. So, that's pretty much brings us to a wrap. I don't see anything in the chat. Not a lot of people tuned in. Don't blame you. I've been away for a while. Sorry. But the video will be available for viewing afterwards, after the live stream's over. By all means, tune in. Once again, like I said, if you have thoughts, concerns, whatever, leave a comment. I appreciate them. I really do. So if you have a thought, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you thought it was good, give me a like. I appreciate that. So what we're going to do, just working towards, we're done. So thank you very much for tuning in. And until we see each other again, and I really hope we do, don't just think about safety. Don't just talk about safety. Be a safety influencer. Provoke safety through good safety leadership wherever you are. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.